The sky over Earth darkened suddenly, as if night had arrived in the middle of the day. Enormous shapes moved silently above the clouds. Commander Richard Hale stood at the control center, gripping the edge of the console, staring up at the radar screens. Massive alien ships hovered above the planet, their surfaces glowing faintly with strange lights. Hale's heart pounded. He had read reports about alien life, but nothing could prepare a person for seeing it in reality. These were the Galvans, a highly advanced race from a distant galaxy, and they believed humans were weak, simple, and primitive. No words came from the ships at first. Alien drones separated from the main fleet and began scanning the cities below. From above they looked like tiny insects moving with purpose. The drones emitted low hums and beams of light swept over the Earth. They moved methodically, judging humanity, calculating, and dismissing humans as unorganized and fragile. The aliens seemed confident that they had nothing to fear. They did not know that humans, when pushed, could do things no one expected. In London, Dr. Emily Clark stared at the monitors in her laboratory. Her fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted the controls of her equipment. She was a scientist who had spent years studying energy patterns in the atmosphere, but today her work seemed both trivial and crucial. Across the world, engineers, programmers, and ordinary people prepared quietly. Michael Turner, an engineer in New York, organized a team to monitor the drones and track their movements. He spoke to his colleagues with calm authority, even though inside he felt a mixture of fear and excitement. The streets below were filled with people looking up at the massive alien ships. Cars stopped abruptly and crowds gathered, pointing and shouting. Some screamed, others cried. Children clutched their parents' hands tightly, unable to understand what was happening. But in many places people reacted differently. They thought, if we are going to survive, we must act. Across small towns and cities, individuals began to gather supplies, check communications, and try to find any edge they could. Curiosity and ingenuity burned brighter than fear. Richard Hale paced the control center. The Galvans moved as if they were gods judging a planet. Hale knew that if the aliens attacked without warning, humanity could lose thousands, perhaps millions, of lives. He called his team together. "We don't know their plan yet," he said. "But we have to assume they see us as nothing more than ants. They underestimate us. That is our advantage." His voice was calm, but inside he felt the weight of responsibility. Every decision he made could change the fate of the planet. Meanwhile, the aliens continued their initial survey. A drone hovered over Tokyo, scanning skyscrapers and busy streets. It emitted a soft blue light that made the windows glow unnaturally. Humans in the streets panicked, running to shelter, but some observed the drone carefully. In Berlin, a group of engineers noticed the patterns in the alien scan beams. They quickly realized that they could predict where the drones would move next. They began recording the data, hoping to use it to their advantage. On the outskirts of Cape Town, a small team led by Dr. Clark and Michael Turner activated emergency generators and began linking communication channels between cities. They realized that, for the first time, humanity faced a threat that required global cooperation. Nations that had argued for decades now found themselves working together. The aliens had arrived, expecting disorganized chaos, but humans were beginning to organize. Even simple measures like warning citizens and coordinating small defensive maneuvers became powerful tools. Richard Hale observed the alien ships from his command window. Their size was unimaginable, stretching across miles of sky. Their surfaces were smooth, polished, and covered in symbols that no human could understand. But it was not their size that worried him, it was their confidence. The Galvans believed that technology alone could overcome any opponent. They had never fought humans. They did not know that human ingenuity, adaptability, and courage could turn even the smallest advantage into something extraordinary. The first night under alien ships was tense. Cities experienced strange power fluctuations as the drones' beams interfered with electricity grids. Some areas went dark entirely, causing panic, while other places experienced minor disruptions that humans quickly managed. People whispered about the invaders, fearing the worst. But small acts of bravery became visible everywhere. In London, a team of young programmers managed to hack into a drone's visual feed, sending scrambled images back to it. In New York, engineers built makeshift shields that partially protected sensitive communication towers. These small victories gave people hope. At the control center, Richard Hale and his team worked through the night. Dr. Clark joined them virtually, sharing her research on alien energy patterns. Michael Turner sent live updates from his engineering teams around the globe. Together, they tried to understand the Galvans' technology and behavior. Every observation mattered. Every small piece of knowledge could be used to turn the tide. Even though humans were scared, a strange excitement spread among those fighting to survive. People discovered skills they never knew they had. Civilians helped monitor drones while soldiers studied their movements. Engineers repaired communications, scientists calculated energy patterns, and ordinary citizens took initiative to keep their families safe. Humanity's resourcefulness and determination became apparent, even under the looming shadow of the alien ships. By morning, the first small patterns in the alien behavior had emerged. The Galvans, proud and dismissive, had assumed humanity would be easy to intimidate. They had not noticed the subtle preparations, the quiet resistance, or the determination burning in human hearts. Commander Richard Hale stood tall, watching the sunrise reflect on the alien hulls above. The world had not yet fought, but it had not given in either. The Galvans had underestimated humanity. They saw only primitive life, fragile cities, and simple minds. They did not see the courage, intelligence, and creativity that had kept humans alive through thousands of years of challenge. Humans were scared, yes, but they were thinking, planning, and preparing. The first night under alien ships had ended without destruction, but it had revealed something important. Humans were not passive, and the Galvans' confidence might be their greatest weakness. Commander Hale turned to his team. They think we are weak. They think we will panic and surrender. But we are human. And humans survive. We adapt. We fight. We find solutions when none exist. If they think they can conquer us easily, they are about to learn a very important lesson. Across Earth, scientists like Dr. Emily Clark, engineers like Michael Turner, and countless ordinary people continued their quiet preparations. Cities braced, teams coordinated, and every small action counted. Fear had not vanished, but determination had taken its place. Humanity was ready to prove that it was far more than the Galvans expected. And above the Earth, the alien ships glimmered in the morning light, completely unaware that they were about to face something they had never truly understood. The first attacks came without warning. Alien ships descended toward the oceans, their enormous shapes casting shadows over coastal cities. The Galvans moved with precision, their weapons targeting key infrastructure. In New York, sirens wailed as people ran through the streets seeking shelter. Buildings shook, glass shattered, and smoke filled the air. Captain Laura Price gripped the controls of her fighter jet as the ground trembled below. Beside her, Lieutenant David Harris adjusted his targeting system. Their squadron launched into the sky, engines roaring, leaving the terrified citizens behind. The pilots were small against the alien fleet. Their jets looked like insects next to the massive ships, and their weapons barely left a scratch on the glowing alien shields. But humans had something the aliens had not considered: creativity. Laura banked sharply, dodging a laser that could have torn her jet apart. David fired a missile, not at the main hull, but at a smaller energy node he had noticed glowing faintly. It exploded, causing the alien ship to wobble briefly. On the ground, civilians acted quickly. People in office buildings, schools, and homes grabbed whatever they could use to communicate or defend themselves. Engineers like Michael Turner and Dr. Emily Clark coordinated small groups through emergency channels. They sent drone swarms to interfere with alien sensors, improvised jamming devices, and even used satellites to redirect energy pulses. Every small action caused confusion among the aliens, who had assumed Earth was defenseless. In Tokyo, a group of high school students from a coding club worked feverishly on laptops. They had been practicing hacking as part of their school projects, but now their skills were in real use. By analyzing alien sensor patterns, they sent false signals back, making the drones move in circles or collide with each other. Their faces were tense, but their eyes shone with determination. One student, Akira Bennett, whispered, "We can't fail. We have to make them see us." Across London, citizens built improvised traps in the streets. Steel beams, nets, and vehicles were positioned to slow down alien drones that tried to land. Even small things, like mirrors reflecting laser beams, caused the aliens to pause. Every minor success gave humans hope. Even though people were terrified, they realized something: they were not powerless. Captain Laura Price and her squadron continued to fight above the cities. She looked at the alien formations and noted their rigid patterns. "They always move in lines," she said over the radio. "We can use that." David nodded, understanding immediately. Using tight formations and sudden evasive moves, the humans managed to slip between the alien ships, striking at weak points. Every maneuver required courage and quick thinking. Each small victory built confidence across the globe. The aliens were beginning to notice that humans were not as simple as they had thought. The first wave of attacks had been intended as a demonstration of power, a way to intimidate and quickly defeat the planet. Instead, it was revealing human adaptability and cooperation. Every clever maneuver, every improvised trap, and every hacked signal made the aliens hesitate. Their confidence began to crack even if they did not admit it aloud. In Sydney, Dr. Emily Clark coordinated a network of engineers and technicians to monitor alien energy pulses. They calculated timing patterns and predicted the next points of attack. With this information, Captain Price and her squadron avoided some of the deadliest strikes, saving thousands of lives. In smaller towns, local volunteers guided citizens to safety, using knowledge gained from emergency drills. Humans had faced disasters before, but never anything like this. Yet the experience and coordination paid off. On the water, naval ships joined the fight. Torpedoes and missiles launched at the alien ships, but most failed to penetrate the shields. Still, the presence of humans below created additional pressure. The aliens had not expected coordinated resistance from the ground and the air at the same time. Every human action, no matter how small, disrupted their plans. Meanwhile, civilians improvised communication systems. Messages passed between neighborhoods, cities, and countries, warning of approaching attacks and sharing strategies. People used radios, satellite phones, and even social media networks to relay information quickly. In rural areas, farmers and villagers guided people away from danger zones. No one waited for orders. They acted instinctively, showing that human survival depended on cooperation, ingenuity, and courage. In New York, David Harris maneuvered his jet under heavy fire, keeping one eye on the city below and the other on the alien formation. "We're doing it," he said. "We're keeping them off balance." Laura Price smiled grimly, feeling the weight of responsibility but also the thrill of fighting for something greater than herself. They had become more than pilots. They were symbols of humanity's defiance. Even children found ways to help. In Germany, a group of teenagers remotely operated drones from their school lab. They directed them toward alien sensors, disrupting communications and creating distractions. Some of the youngest children sent simple signals that interfered with the aliens' targeting systems. Small hands, simple tools, and clever thinking made a difference. Humans were proving that every individual, no matter age or skill, could contribute to survival. The first wave of attacks lasted for hours. Cities were damaged, but humans adapted quickly. Fires were put out, wounded were helped, and emergency systems were restored as soon as possible. People learned from each strike, anticipating the aliens' next moves. By the time the sun began to rise, the alien ships had begun to withdraw, confused and frustrated. Commander Richard Hale watched from the control center as the last of the Galvan drones disappeared from the horizon. His team had worked through the night, coordinating pilots, engineers, scientists, and civilians. "They think it was luck," he said quietly. "But it wasn't. Humanity worked together. We fought back. And we survived." Even though the aliens had caused destruction, humans felt a new sense of pride. For the first time, they had faced an enemy far stronger than themselves and had not been crushed. Civilians celebrated small victories: a neighborhood that survived intact, a drone that had disrupted a ship, a pilot who had returned safely from a daring attack. Every act of courage, no matter how small, reminded people of their potential. The Galvans, confident and arrogant, began to realize something they had never considered. Humans were unpredictable. Humans adapted. Humans did not surrender easily. Every tactic they used to intimidate and overpower had been met with resistance, creativity, and teamwork. Their arrogance had blinded them to the truth. Underestimating humans was a grave mistake. In London, Dr. Clark and Michael Turner reviewed the data collected during the battle. They noticed patterns in the alien movements that suggested weaknesses. "They are strong," Clark said, "but predictable. If we plan carefully, we can exploit this." Turner nodded. "It will take more than courage," he said. "We need strategy, and we need everyone to work together." Across Earth, humanity was preparing for what would come next. The first clash had been survived, but the real test was still ahead. People were tired, frightened, and battered, but determination burned in their hearts. They had proven something important: humans were not weak. Humans could adapt, fight, and survive against impossible odds. Captain Laura Price and Lieutenant David Harris, standing on the deck of their aircraft carrier after landing, looked out at the horizon. "They thought we were simple," David said. "They don't know us yet." Laura nodded. "They will," she replied. "And when they do, it will change everything." From the control center to the smallest town, humans began to rebuild, strategize, and prepare. Every action, no matter how small, mattered. Civilians, soldiers, scientists, and children were all part of a single effort to protect their world. Humanity had survived the first wave, but the battle had only just begun. The aliens, retreating to orbit, still saw humans as weak and disorganized. They did not understand the strength born of creativity, teamwork, and courage. But humans knew the truth: their planet was worth defending, and they were ready for the challenges ahead. And so, Earth held its breath, standing together for the first time against an enemy that had underestimated it. The first clash was over, but humanity's story had only just begun. Dr. Emily Clark stood on the icy surface of the Arctic, her breath forming clouds in the freezing air. She had been following strange energy readings for weeks, but what she saw now made her heart race. Buried under layers of snow and ice was an alien artifact, glowing faintly with a blue light. Its surface was etched with patterns no human had ever seen. Clark knelt beside it, careful not to touch the energy lines directly. This could change everything, she whispered to herself. Michael Turner, her trusted engineer, approached, pulling out portable scanners. "Emily, the energy readings are off the charts," he said. "If we can understand even a fraction of this technology, it could give us an edge." Clark nodded. "We have to. The aliens think we are primitive, but this could show them they are wrong." The artifact was larger than either of them had expected. Its surface hummed faintly as if alive. Clark carefully studied the symbols, while Turner ran calculations to understand its energy flow. They realized that it was a kind of power generator, one that could be adapted to create defensive shields and energy pulses far stronger than anything humans had. But understanding it was only the first step. They needed time, tools, and people to help decode its mysteries. Back at the control center, Commander Richard Hale coordinated teams across the globe. Civilians, soldiers, scientists, and engineers were all linked through a secure communication network. "We need every capable mind working together," Hale said over the channel. "This artifact may be our key, but only if we move fast and smart." Across the world, people responded. Laboratories worked through the night, military engineers adapted alien technology for human use, and communications experts monitored alien movements. In London, Emily Clark shared her initial findings with a team of scientists. "The energy patterns are unlike anything we've seen," she explained. "They can be used to disrupt the alien shields, maybe even their communications. But we need to move carefully. One mistake and we could destroy it." The scientists nodded, working tirelessly to decode the artifact's secrets. Clark and Turner guided them, combining intuition, creativity, and logic. Meanwhile, on the streets of major cities, civilians continued to prepare. People repaired buildings, set up emergency supplies, and organized communication networks. Schools became centers for coordination, with volunteers teaching basic technology skills to younger children who had shown remarkable aptitude. Everywhere, humans were working together, quietly but effectively, showing that unity and determination could achieve what brute force alone could not. The Galvans watched from orbit, observing human activity through their drones. Their leaders, arrogant and impatient, laughed at the efforts. "These creatures cannot match our technology," one of them said. "They scurry and tinker while we hold the skies. They are foolish to resist." But the aliens did not notice the small victories humans were achieving. They did not see engineers figuring out ways to redirect alien energy beams or scientists preparing devices to weaken the shields. They failed to understand that human adaptability was growing stronger every hour. Richard Hale moved from station to station, offering guidance and encouragement. "They think we are weak," he told the team at a remote command post. "They are wrong. Every time we solve a problem, every time we adapt, we prove them wrong. Keep pushing. Every discovery matters." His words inspired people. Exhausted technicians, engineers, and volunteers kept working, fueled by determination and a sense of purpose. In the Arctic, Clark and Turner made a breakthrough. They discovered that the artifact contained energy nodes that could be connected to human systems. By linking them, they could generate a protective field capable of repelling alien attacks. "We can do this," Clark said. "We have the knowledge. We just need to scale it." Turner nodded, already calculating the materials and connections needed. They sent the blueprints to the military engineers, who began working immediately. Back in New York, civilians joined the effort in unexpected ways. Amateur scientists, retired engineers, and even school teachers contributed ideas for using alien technology in human systems. Makeshift labs were set up in warehouses and community centers, each small team working on a different aspect of adaptation. People shared results quickly, learning from each other. It was a level of cooperation the world had never seen before. Even soldiers who had been trained only to fight were learning to think differently. They worked alongside scientists and engineers, combining their practical skills with technical knowledge. Captain Laura Price, who had been flying missions against the aliens, now trained young pilots in techniques to use the new energy systems. Lieutenant David Harris tested prototype shields and weapons in simulations, feeding back improvements to the teams on the ground. Every contribution mattered. The Galvans continued to mock human efforts, sending drones to observe the artifact and human networks. They tried to destroy the research facilities, but humans anticipated some of their moves. Improvised defenses, creative solutions, and rapid adaptation kept the teams safe. Even when alien drones attacked, humans responded with ingenuity. Small explosions, redirected energy, and clever traps slowed the aliens and protected critical projects. On the Arctic ice, Clark and Turner connected the first node to a portable generator. A faint hum filled the air as energy flowed through the system. Clark held her breath. "If this works," she said, "we might be able to defend entire cities." Turner smiled, though exhaustion was visible on his face. "It will work," he said. "Because humans never give up." Richard Hale monitored the progress. He knew that the Galvans were counting on humans to panic and fail. They expected disorder, confusion, and fear. But what they were seeing instead was unity, adaptability, and determination. Civilians worked alongside soldiers, scientists collaborated with engineers, and ordinary people became part of something greater. Every day humans proved that intelligence and teamwork could achieve what brute force could not. In smaller towns and villages, people prepared for emergencies, shared resources, and helped each other. Humanity's strength was not just in technology but in people. Communities formed rapid response teams, trained volunteers, and created systems to respond to alien attacks. Even in fear, people acted with courage, showing that survival depended on cooperation as much as on science. The Galvans, observing from orbit, could not understand the depth of human determination. They laughed at laboratories, workshops, and civilians, believing it would amount to nothing. But humans were learning fast. They were not just copying alien technology, they were adapting it, improving it, and finding new uses. Each success, no matter how small, was a building block in a larger plan. In the Arctic, Clark and Turner completed the first prototype shield generator. It emitted a faint, blue protective field around the test area. Clark smiled in relief. "It's only the beginning," she said. Turner nodded. "The aliens won't know what hit them." Together, they began preparing to scale the system for use in cities and critical locations around the world. Commander Hale looked at the global network of humans working tirelessly. "They may laugh now," he said, "but by the time they return, they will see that humans are not simple, fragile creatures. We adapt. We learn. We fight. And we never give up." As night fell across the planet, humans continued their work. Laboratories glowed with lights, streets buzzed with communication, and teams in remote areas tested and improved their devices. Clark and Turner worked alongside military engineers to deploy the first small energy defenses in strategic locations. The process was exhausting, but every success strengthened humanity's resolve. The Galvans had underestimated humans. They had assumed that advanced technology alone could dominate the planet. They did not know that adaptability, creativity, and teamwork were far stronger than any weapon. Humans had turned fear into determination, chaos into cooperation, and observation into strategy. By the time the first prototypes were ready for deployment, humans had achieved something remarkable. They had transformed alien technology into a tool for survival, showing that intelligence and teamwork could overcome even the greatest threats. Clark, Turner, and Hale watched the final tests, knowing that humanity was no longer defenseless. Above Earth, the alien fleet continued to hover, arrogant and impatient. They had dismissed humans, thinking the first clash was just a delay, nothing more. But the humans were ready. Every day, every discovery, and every act of courage brought them closer to a defense the aliens could not predict. Human unity and adaptability were growing stronger every hour, preparing the planet for the battles yet to come. The first light of dawn revealed humans ready to fight back. Earth had survived the initial attacks and learned from them. Dr. Emily Clark and Michael Turner had adapted the alien artifact technology into new systems: energy shields, pulse disruptors, and communication blockers. Commander Richard Hale looked over the global operations from the control center. "This is our moment," he said. "We are not just surviving anymore. We are striking back." Captain Laura Price climbed into her fighter jet, her hands steady on the controls. Beside her, Lieutenant David Harris ran final checks on his ship. A squadron of fast, human-built ships took off from multiple launch points around the globe. They were small and agile, equipped with energy shields powered by Clark's team. Every pilot knew that the alien fleet was larger, stronger, and more heavily armed, but humans had learned a secret: cleverness could overcome raw power. Above the Atlantic, alien ships hovered, scanning for human activity. Their sensors had been disrupted by the energy pulses Clark had activated. Communications between alien ships flickered and broke. Commands were delayed or missed entirely. Confusion spread through the Galvan ranks. They had underestimated humans once, and now they were learning a hard truth: the planet they thought simple and weak was preparing to fight back. On Earth, civilians watched the first human counterattack unfold. Television screens, public monitors, and mobile networks broadcast the strikes in real time. People cheered as human pilots darted between the massive alien ships, dodging beams that could tear steel apart. In cities, crowds sent messages, relayed information, and helped coordinate actions. Engineers rerouted power to critical areas, keeping shields active and communications flowing. Even small acts, like redirecting satellite paths or launching drones to interfere with alien targeting, made a difference. In Berlin, a team of students and technicians had created a small computer virus designed to infiltrate alien systems. It spread through one of the alien ship's networks, causing minor but critical errors in navigation and weapon targeting. The aliens were thrown off balance. Clark monitored the virus from her lab, hands flying over her keyboard. "It's working," she said. "They're making mistakes." Turner smiled. "Every mistake they make is a chance for us." The human pilots worked together in perfect coordination. Laura Price led her squadron with precision, taking advantage of the aliens' confusion. They weaved between ships, striking at weak points that were barely noticeable. Lieutenant Harris fired a pulse disruptor at a key node, temporarily shutting down an alien cannon. It caused a chain reaction that allowed other pilots to take out smaller drones without interference. Every maneuver was calculated, every risk taken with skill and courage. On the ground, civilians continued to play a vital role. Neighborhood watch teams guided people to safe zones while monitoring the sky for alien drones. Engineers and volunteers repaired damaged systems and rerouted energy to support the pilots above. Teachers, office workers, and students became part of a global network, sharing information, ideas, and warnings in real time. The energy pulses from Clark's system protected cities, giving humans the confidence to act boldly. Across the Pacific, a satellite collision was timed perfectly. One of the satellites, deliberately repositioned by human engineers, struck an alien ship, causing it to falter. Another ship miscalculated its movement and collided with a smaller drone, causing more confusion. The Galvans had expected humans to panic, but instead they were seeing a combination of strategy, courage, and improvisation at work. Every small, unexpected act was adding up. Commander Hale watched the progress on the global monitors. "They thought they were untouchable," he said. "They underestimated humans. Every action we take proves that we are unpredictable, resourceful, and united." He gestured toward the communications map. "Every city, every neighborhood, every team contributes. We are one network, one force." In New York, civilians cheered as they watched the first wave of alien ships being forced back. Firefighters and paramedics assisted in clearing debris, while local engineers used Clark's designs to activate protective barriers in key areas. Across the world, cities were not only surviving, they were fighting alongside the pilots. Each act, no matter how small, became a part of the greater plan. Laura Price's squadron moved in formation, striking at alien supply ships and energy nodes. David Harris targeted the communications relay of the fleet, disrupting coordination further. Clark monitored the effects from her lab and transmitted new instructions to every pilot. The aliens, who had once seen humans as weak and fragile, were now vulnerable, confused, and on the defensive. Their arrogance was giving humans a significant advantage. On the ground, ordinary people performed extraordinary acts. In small towns, engineers repaired energy pulse generators after minor damages. Civilians helped transport equipment and supplies to critical locations. Children relayed messages between teams when communications failed. Teachers and office workers analyzed data from drones and satellites. Every person, every contribution, strengthened humanity's position. The aliens tried to counterattack, firing massive beams at human ships. The shields held. Clark and Turner had optimized them to absorb energy and redirect it, giving humans time to respond. Human pilots exploited every opportunity, slipping between the massive ships and striking with pinpoint accuracy. The aliens had never encountered an enemy that used intelligence, creativity, and unity as weapons. By midday, several alien ships had been disabled or forced to retreat. The humans had managed to protect major cities and inflict damage on the fleet. The unexpected tactics, quick thinking, and coordination made the aliens reconsider their approach. They had underestimated humans once. They would not underestimate them again. But it was already too late. Humans had learned, adapted, and struck with precision. Clark and Turner deployed additional energy pulse devices in key locations. Each activation caused confusion among the aliens, making their movements jerky and uncoordinated. Smaller ships collided, drones misfired, and alien formations broke apart. Human ingenuity turned the tide, demonstrating that intelligence and unity could overcome brute strength. Commander Hale addressed the pilots and ground teams. They may have strength, but we have creativity. They may have size, but we have strategy. They may have weapons, but we have determination. Every success, every act of courage, and every bit of innovation proves that we are not weak. The team responded with renewed energy, knowing that each contribution mattered. Across Earth, civilians celebrated small victories. A neighborhood that survived unscathed, a drone that disrupted alien sensors, or a shield that held against a massive attack became reasons for hope. Humans were no longer simply surviving, they were winning small battles, gaining confidence, and preparing for the larger fight ahead. The alien commanders, observing from orbit, were growing frustrated. How can these creatures resist us? One hissed. Their ships are small, their weapons weak, and yet they strike back with cleverness. They are unpredictable. Another alien added, they are not following logic. They are coordinated, united, and resourceful. We did not expect this. As night fell, humans continued to strike in waves, never giving the aliens a chance to regroup fully. Clark and Turner monitored the effects of their technology, adjusting settings and sending new instructions. Engineers on the ground repaired damaged systems and reinforced the energy shields. Civilians continued to gather supplies, share information, and support the global effort. Humanity had become a single, coordinated force. Captain Laura Price and Lieutenant David Harris returned to base after a successful sortie. They thought we were simple, David said, exhausted but smiling. They don't know humans yet. Laura nodded. And when they realize what we are capable of, it will change everything. Richard Hale looked out at the night sky. Alien ships flickered in orbit, hesitant, confused, and unsure of their next move. Humans had turned fear into strength, chaos into strategy, and observation into action. The first counterattack had proven that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and united. They had shown the Galvans that the planet they thought weak was, in fact, capable of defending itself with intelligence, courage, and creativity. The battle was far from over, but humanity had sent a clear message. They were not prey. They were fighters. They were a force that could not be controlled by arrogance or technology alone. And for the first time, the aliens understood that underestimating humans had been their greatest mistake. The skies above Earth were quiet at last. The remaining Galvan ships had retreated into deep space, their massive shapes disappearing beyond the horizon. For the first time in weeks, humans could breathe without the constant hum of alien engines above them. Commander Richard Hale stood on the observation deck, looking out at the fading alien fleet. Relief and pride filled him, but he knew that the victory was not just his. It belonged to every human who had fought, planned, and survived. In cities across the globe, people cheered. The sounds of celebration mixed with the remnants of sirens and alarms. Streets were filled with families, neighbors hugging, and strangers sharing smiles for the first time in fear-filled weeks. Children laughed, running through puddles left from firefighting efforts, while adults helped clean the damage from the battles. Humanity had survived something unimaginable, and in doing so, had proven its resilience and courage. Richard Hale called a global broadcast to speak to the world. Millions of screens, radios, and communication devices carried his voice across continents. Humans survived because we never gave up, he said. Our courage, creativity, and teamwork make us stronger than any weapon. We have faced an enemy that thought we were weak and disorganized. We have proven that they were wrong. Never again should anyone underestimate humanity. His words inspired hope, pride, and a renewed sense of purpose. Dr. Emily Clark and Michael Turner returned to their laboratories, tired but determined. The alien artifact they had discovered in the Arctic had already changed the course of the battle, but it held far more secrets. Clark carefully studied the remaining energy patterns, while Turner analyzed alien technology captured from the retreating ships. Every breakthrough offered insight into alien engineering, power systems, and communication methods. Together, they were preparing humanity for whatever threats might come in the future. Across the globe, engineers, scientists, and volunteers continued to work. Cities repaired damaged infrastructure and reinforced critical systems with the new knowledge from alien technology. Energy shields and pulse devices were tested and refined. People who had been ordinary civilians became experts in defense, learning quickly from the chaos and adapting skills to protect their homes and communities. The collaboration between military and civilians had created something powerful, a human network that could respond to any challenge. On the training grounds, Captain Laura Price oversaw a new generation of pilots. Young recruits flew simulators, learning to handle fast ships and energy-based weaponry. Laura guided them patiently, passing on knowledge gained from countless missions and counterattacks. Lieutenant David Harris ran exercises on coordination and strategy, ensuring that humans would be ready to defend themselves in the future. Each trainee learned not just to fight but to think, adapt, and cooperate under pressure. Humanity's strength was no longer only in courage, it was in intelligence and preparation. Meanwhile, communities around the world strengthened their connections. Neighborhoods formed watch groups and emergency teams, volunteers trained for disaster response, and communication networks were upgraded. Humanity had learned a vital lesson. Survival depended on unity and coordination. Ordinary people had become heroes in their own ways, from children using computers to disrupt alien sensors to engineers improvising protective shields. Every action, big or small, had contributed to the collective victory. Even nature seemed to recover, as cities slowly repaired the damage and wildlife returned to areas temporarily abandoned. Humanity had faced destruction but had emerged resilient. Parks and streets were cleaned, homes rebuilt, and the sense of normalcy gradually returned. The lessons of the invasion were not forgotten, however. Every step forward was taken with caution, preparation, and respect for the power of the galaxy beyond. Richard Hale met with leaders of governments and organizations from around the world. They discussed strategies to share the knowledge gained from alien technology and to improve global defense systems. Plans were made to create training centers, laboratories, and rapid response teams in every major city. Humanity had learned that survival depended on being ready, cooperative, and resourceful. For the first time in history, Earth's nations worked together not just out of necessity, but out of shared purpose. Dr. Clark and Michael Turner completed their initial analysis of captured alien devices. They discovered advanced energy storage systems, communication arrays, and propulsion mechanisms far beyond anything humans had previously seen. But instead of being intimidated, they were excited. Every discovery was a tool that could be adapted for defense, energy, or exploration. The artifact in the Arctic had unlocked potential humans never knew they had. It was not just a weapon, it was a symbol of possibility and ingenuity. In orbit, satellite arrays monitored the stars for returning alien ships. Automated systems tested energy shields, sending pulses through strategic networks. Pilots trained in simulators tested new maneuvers and coordinated attacks. Humanity had turned fear into preparation and strategy, proving that even against overwhelming odds, intelligence, courage, and unity could prevail. Meanwhile, across the world, children spoke about heroes in schools, and families shared stories of bravery. Ordinary citizens who had helped during the invasion were recognized for their contributions. Humanity celebrated not just the defeat of the aliens, but the strength and determination that had made it possible. Every person's role had mattered, showing that even small contributions could change the course of events. The Galvans, retreating into deep space, had been shocked and humbled. They had assumed humans were primitive and weak, but their arrogance had led to misjudgment. For the first time, their records would reflect a species that was clever, adaptable, and unpredictable. They had learned that humans could fight with creativity, unity, and courage. The galaxy would soon know that Earth was not an easy target. Commander Hale addressed his team privately before the public announcements. "We have survived," he said. "But survival is not enough. We must be ready for the future. We will study, train, and prepare. We will ensure that humanity is never underestimated again." His team nodded. Exhaustion was visible, but determination burned bright. They had faced the impossible and had prevailed. Captain Laura Price walked among the new pilots, offering guidance and encouragement. "Remember," she said, "the sky is not the limit. It's just the beginning. We've shown what humans can do. Never forget it." Young pilots listened, inspired by the courage of those who had fought before them. Each lesson, each training session, prepared them to defend Earth, ensuring that future generations would carry the legacy of resilience and ingenuity. Dr. Clark and Michael Turner coordinated with global laboratories to share knowledge. Techniques learned from the alien technology were being adapted for civilian use as well, improving energy efficiency, communications, and even transportation. Humanity had turned an invasion into an opportunity for growth, showing that intelligence and adaptability could transform a crisis into progress. In cities across the planet, humans rebuilt and strengthened. Communities had changed forever. People were more connected, more aware, and more ready to help each other. The invasion had tested humanity, and humanity had passed. People had learned to work together, to trust, and to act with courage and creativity. The night sky above Earth was calm. Stars twinkled as if acknowledging humanity's achievement. From distant galaxies, other civilizations would soon observe the changes on Earth. Reports of human ingenuity, bravery, and cooperation would spread. Humans had sent a clear message. They were a species to be respected, not dismissed. The Galvans would not forget this lesson, and neither would the rest of the galaxy. Commander Hale looked at the horizon one last time that night. "We are ready," he said quietly. "We have survived and we have learned. The galaxy will know that humans are not weak. We are clever, united, and strong. This is only the beginning." As Earth returned to normalcy, humans continued to innovate, train, and explore. Clark and Turner's research promised new discoveries, while pilots like Laura Price ensured the planet's defenses would remain strong. Communities continued to work together, learning from the past and preparing for the future. Humanity had survived the greatest test in its history, and in doing so, had proven that courage, creativity, and teamwork could overcome even the most advanced enemies. Across the galaxy, the story of Earth's resistance would spread. The message was simple and clear: humans were not prey. They were fighters, thinkers, and survivors. They were a force to be respected, unpredictable, and united. The victory was more than a battle. It was proof that humanity's strength came not from technology alone, but from its people, their determination, and their ability to work together in the face of overwhelming odds. And so, Earth stood taller than ever before. Its people, united by courage and creativity, prepared for the challenges ahead. The Galvans had retreated, humbled and shocked, and humanity had earned a new respect across the stars. For the first time, humans were not just surviving, they were a power that the galaxy could no longer ignore.